Hey, I'm D. Grant Smith, and I help sensitive people stand in their power to grow healthy and loving relationships. In 2020, in the midst of this big global pandemic where people have felt, in a lot of ways, a loss of hope, I've helped over 20 people overcome feeling unworthy so that they can live a life of confidence and have loving relationships. I'm also the author of a book called Be Solid: How to Go Through Hell and Come Out Whole, which details my own journey from brokenness of divorce into a life of wholeness and living my divine purpose. I work with individuals and organizations across the globe to embrace themselves and their inherent self-worth through the power of love. Now, many people see me and they think that I've always done this kind of coaching work or always done this kind of inspirational, motivational stuff. But truthfully, it's only been in the past 2 years that I've been serving people in this way. You see, about 5 years ago, I was a syndicated radio host and I was a coach in the music industry. I helped artists get media attention and build their fan base and connect with influencers. And honestly, that was a really cool gig. But underneath all of that coolness of the job stuff was this very deep lack of self-love on my part. I've always been a really sensitive person. I'm someone who can be pretty emotional, and I also feel things really deeply. And as a highly emotional dude, I didn't really feel like I fit in with a lot of people, at least on an emotional side. So truthfully, I felt really fearful and I didn't believe in myself. I was also married to a beautiful lady who is incredibly talented, but there was some unresolved tension in our relationship. And part of that was on me. I was incredibly codependent and I found my sense of worth from being married. And so I gave trying to earn love in marriage and in relationships. I was trying to get approval. I was trying to get love returned to me by giving it out. And then in 2017, my life hit this level that for me felt like it was lower than rock bottom. My wife of nearly a dozen years decided that she was done with me. She was done with our relationship. And what it felt like was that this hurricane had suddenly come in and just destroyed everything in my life. I call that Hurricane Heartbreak. I felt completely worthless and abandoned and thrown away. The impact of all that was terrible. I felt like a fraud and I felt like a fake. I shut down my coaching business because I felt that no one would want to work with a relationship coach, even in the music industry where it's based on your fan base and connecting with other people. I felt like if my wife left, then that's going to show that I don't know anything about relationships. And so I hid myself away and I didn't talk about the pain that I was experiencing because of all the shame that I carried with me. One day I was sitting here in my kitchen. I was trying to write my book when I had this memory of my wedding day. That had been my favorite memory in my whole life. But this time, having that thought, having that memory, it just broke me. I fell onto the floor and I started crying my eyes out because I realized that everything that I had lost was so huge and I knew that there was nothing I could do to get it back. And then it was in that place of complete brokenness where I had this realization that would change my life forever. I don't know how to love myself. That was my thought. I'd spent my whole life trying to earn other people's love, trying to prove that I was worthy of love from other people, but I had not given that love to myself. And it was then that I decided to really dig in and understand the full depth of what love actually is so that I could give it to myself more fully. So I started reading books by folks like Wayne Dyer and Jen Sincero and Abraham Hicks and a whole bunch of other people. I started learning about meditation and I surrounded myself with really loving, giving people. And I finally felt love in a real sense. And I learned that the source of love really is God. It's not anybody else. And from this, I developed a method of self-love that impacted my own life. And then it impacted all of my relationships. And from that, I created a system that I now teach for learning how to fully love yourself so that you can stand in your power. I felt inspired and significant, and I felt like I was stepping into living my divine purpose by teaching love as a way of being, not just this emotion or this feeling that we want to have. Because here's the thing, all of us want love. When you embrace love as your way of being and not just something that you can give or receive as though it's this transactional thing, everything in your life is going to change. From this place, the love that you give to other people is true. And that's because it's coming from a place of abundance. This is the source of real confidence. And it's the way to have really loving, vibrant, and wonderful relationships with everyone you know. So if you struggle with feeling like you have to earn somebody else's approval and acceptance in order to be worthy, I understand. But these beliefs aren't true because there is greatness inside of you. Instead of trying to fight for somebody else's love, choose yourself. You are worth fighting for because love is already in you. If you want to experience this kind of transformation, I'd like to offer you a free 30-minute coaching session. I know the depth of pain that feeling unworthy brings you. Let me show you how to love yourself more fully so that you can be the superhero that you are, where love is your superpower. Just give me an emoji or say me below, and we'll set up a time for us to talk. You are worth fighting for. I believe in you. See you soon.